Hello and welcome to Season 4 of The X-Files. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. Please like if you can, or comment. Comment, that would be enough. And also, if you feel like it, subscribe. I don't need you to. Just do what you do. And just watch. The best thing that you can do is just watch and share if you can. If you like. I'm not forcing anyone to do anything. But please enjoy the ride with me. Here we go. We are in Season 4. Where I kind of, really got into the show initially. So I was still a child, but I understand the storylines better from this period. So it'll be an interesting rewatch. And I totally didn't just read that. Let's continue. Episode 1, Ehrenvolk. Written by Chris Carter, directed by R.W. Goodwin. Ouch. That's new. Very true. Back to cliffhanger. After a long chase, Mulder manages to kill the alien. Yay. He and Smith sail off, leaving Scully with the not dead clone. Smith takes Mulder to see his sister. We catch up with CSM, who's at his old love's bedside. His colleagues threaten an unnatural end for her, and he actually has a soul because he cares. He actually cares. What a shock. Mulder meets a young Samantha, who's a drone now, another clone. Scully gets away from the not dead clone and heads back to work. She's a little on edge now, which is understandable. Mysterious dude warns her about Mrs. Mulder and gives her information about the files she found. SEP is Smallpox Eradication Program. Don't unlock doors you're not ready to go through, Agent Scully, he says. The alien's clone catches up to Mulder, Smith, and clone Samantha. They hide in a place full of bees. Some reason. There's a tag in the smallpox vaccine that is tracking us. Scully tells an incredulous Skinner and his crew. She says we're being cataloged through inoculation. Everything dies, alien clone says. Fox sees Dana at the hospital breaking down at his mother's side as Dana comforts him with a hug. Mysterious dude is killed. Shit. Just when he was becoming an ally. So many casualties in the quest for truth. Another sweet moment of commisery with our favorite FBI agents. SRSG. Alien clone visits CSM at Mrs. Mulder's side. CSM makes him bring her back, saying it's because Mulder won't be as fierce as if he has nothing. Another excellent episode dealing with loss and exposing the big government conspiracies. On to... oh dear. Episode 2, Home. We had to do it eventually. Written by Glenn Morgan and James Wong. I blame you for this. And I also thank you for this, in a weird way. Directed by Kim Manners. Fuck. I had to eventually watch it, but fuck. Here we go. Bring it home, Mulder and baseball. The vibe of this episode is so different than what we've seen before, but my favorite agents are still as cute together as ever. Take a shot each time someone says home. It's a lot. Fluoride, I see you, X-Files. Baby talk with Mulder and Scully. I love the foreshadowing, even if it wasn't supposed to be. They're gonna procreate someday, even though it takes a long time. The Mulder and Scully moments make up for the creepy shit in this episode. But just barely. There's incest and genetic abnormalities and murder. It's a lot. This is Season 4. We are home. Toliko, Episode 3. Howard Gordon wrote it. Directed by James Charleston. Depigmentation. Looks like the show is back to normal, or what counts as normal for this show. Nice homage you got there, Jordan Peele. Young black men are being albinoed. There's a lesson in the end about not fearing the unknown. Fear seemed to motivate Samuel Laboa to murder the men and make them like him. An interesting episode with some good visuals, but not among the best I've seen. Moving on to Unruh, Episode 4. Vince Gilligan wrote it. Rob Bowman directs it. Another Vince Gilligan ep I wrote. Psychic photography. German killer shows up in photographs before he strikes. Unruh means unrest. Good to know. Thanks, Scully. Enhance. They got the wrong guy, but they didn't. Working separately, Mulder and Scully are able to put the pieces together to find the killer, but they're too late to save Mary LaFonte or this cop. Maybe they should always stay together. Time to save Scully. Never part again, agents. To pursue monsters, we must understand them. I wrote that down. That was a good line. A good episode with another lesson at the end, not going to be top 5, but good performances and tension throughout. The Field Where I Died is next, episode 5. Glenn Morgan and James Wong wrote it. Rob Bowman directs it. This one is inspired by Jonestown and a little Waco massacre. We got a cult with a charismatic leader doing God's will. One of his disciples who was married to him has multiple personalities. That's giving a little Paul Bonacci, who's a part of the Franklin scandal, if you haven't heard, from the late 80s, early 90s. I doubt that case inspired it, but it is an interesting detail to add. Mulder believes the personality is a past life. There's a connection to him, so he and she both undergo past life regression therapy. Good emotional episode about a topic that's very important and sadly still relevant. See Keith Raniere and Nexium. Episode 6, Sanguinarium, written by Valerie Mayhew and Vivian Mayhew, directed by Kim Manners. Oh, I hate it. The scrubbing, the bleeding, the gloves. I hate it so much. The doctor has a sleeping pill addiction, big pharma jabs again, medical malpractice, plastic surgery, corporate greed. Mulder thinks it's witches. Scully disagrees. More crazy shit happens. Another possessed doctor performing a painful surgery on an unsuspecting patient. Turns out Mulder was right. It's witches. This one. The visuals of this ep stand out the most to me. There are some really good shots of blood, and the atmosphere is very dreamy and unique. I enjoyed it for that reason. Nothing super predictive, but there were some good Mulder-Scully moments showing how well they work together. They just fit. Everybody wants to be beautiful. I wrote that line down. It was good. I do like the focus on sleep throughout. Doctors and nurses don't get enough sleep, and that is a real issue. So it's good to see it highlighted, as well as the greed of the plastic surgery industry and the dependence on certain drugs. Lots of important topics. Good shit. On to episode 7, Musings of a Cigarette Smoking Man, written by Glenn Morgan by himself, directed by James Wong by himself. So that's the first time we've seen that. And it's a big ass episode. Yikes, for nothing can seem foul to those that win. An apt quote for CSM to start the episode. We're getting a CSM ep. This should be good. He's listening to our fave agents and the lone gunman, and he set his sights on them. An interesting way to divulge information on CSM's background through the audio from his bug. This is a big episode. We see the world from his POV. We see how he became the man he is. He and Bill Mulder served in the army together. Tasked with an assassination mission, he decides to comply and become a greater asset to the U.S. government. So that's who shot JFK. He takes his first drag of a cigarette after the mission is complete. Aw, he's a writer. Time to kill MLK. He was fucking up the Vietnam War plans. They had to do it. CSM is the man behind all the civil unrest.
All right, gentlemen. Let's make this short and sweet so we can all get home for Christmas. Domestic unrest operations?
Yeah, the Anita Hill thing has lost steam since October.
Well, let it go. We played it right. Unfounded allegations will be flying around in no time. Elle.
The Rodney King trial's been moved to Simi Valley, just as you instructed.
Call back.
Internationally, Bosnia-Herzegovina is set for a February vote on independence from Yugoslavia.
America couldn't care less.
I'm working on next month's Oscar nominations. Any preference?
I couldn't care less. What I don't want to see is the Bills winning the Super Bowl. As long as I'm alive, that doesn't happen.
Could be tough, sir. Buffalo wants it bad.
So did the Soviets in '80.
What, are you saying you rigged the Olympic hockey game?
What's the matter? Don't you believe in miracles?
The boss gave the Russian goaltender a little pre-game good luck pat on the back. Unseen Novocaine needle on a bogus wedding ring. Goalie's a little slow on the stick side. 4-3, home team.
Payback's a bitch, Ivan. Well, gentlemen, if that'll be all.
One thing internally, sir. That spooky kid who talked his way into opening the X-Files feels like trouble.
He's mine to keep an eye on. Gorbachev has just resigned.
There's no more enemies.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
At least he's still writing in the 90s. It's good to have hobbies outside of destabilizing societies. Deep Throat and CSM are shadow men. I'm the liar, you're the killer. Time to kill an alien. Back to the pilot, when Scully was approached about Agent Fox Mulder, and the X-Files journey began. Of course, CSM was in the room. He's still trying to get his book published. You'll have to relinquish some control, he's told. Time to resign. Where the hell is Darren Morgan? I saw that. Back to work he goes. I can kill you whenever I please, but not today, he says at the end. Great episode delving into the big government conspiracies by using CSM. He's still enigmatic, but we know a lot more about him now. Good job, James Wong. On to Episode 8, Tunguska. Written by Frank Spotnitz and Chris Carter. Directed by Kim Manners. Dana Scully is testifying to the Senate. CSM is in the room, of course. She calls out he and his ilk, but the Senate wants to know where Agent Mulder is. 10 days earlier, one of these again. They look good in black. Krychek's back. He wants revenge against CSM, Mulder and Scully's common enemy. They're the engineers of the future, he says. Time for a team-up. Shirtless Skinner gets in on the beating-up Krychek action. Cool. Martian bacteria. Krychek kills a guy at Skinner's place. That won't come back to haunt anyone. Scully's worried about Mulder again, says she doesn't know how far she can follow him. Be careful when handling alien bacteria. You might end up catatonic. CSM meets Fuck in charge to tell him Mulder's onto them. This will take more than just a good aim, he's told. Off to Tunguska, Russia, where unlikely duo Krychek and Mulder run for their lives from angry Russians. Scully and Skinner are called into a meeting about the guy Krychek killed, then asked about Mulder's whereabouts. Back to Tunguska, Russia, where Russian speaker Krychek communicates with a guard at the Gulag. Mulder learns that there are experiments being performed by the prisoners. He soon finds out what that means when he's in the experiment himself. Oh shit. It's the alien bacteria. It's in him now. Well, that was fucked. I didn't love this episode, but I realize its significance. Moving on to Terma, Episode 9. Written by Frank Spotnitz and Chris Carter. Directed by Rob Bowman. Mulder is still alive, not that I was worried. He makes a friend in his cellmate who is helpful with exposition. Skinner finally gets informed about the rock by Scully, who finds out a renowned virologist was killed in a horse riding accident last night. Back to Russia, where Mulder is still a prisoner, but not for long, because he soon escapes after beating up Krychek again. The fucks in charge meet again to discuss the predicament they're in. Back to the subcommittee hearing with Scully's testimony where she protects Mulder. Now she's in a prison of sorts. Surprise! Reunited and it feels so good. Black Cancer, Biological Warfare. Krychek played them again. That was a close one. Mulder and Scully present evidence of extraterrestrial life in the hearing, and we get this great speech.
Are we talking about little green men here?
No, sir, not at all.
Why is this so hard to believe? When the accepted discovery of life off this planet is on the front page of every newspaper around the world, when even the most conservative scientists and science journals are calling for the exploration of Mars and Jupiter, with every reason to believe that life and the persistence of it is thriving outside our own terrestrial sphere. If you cannot get past this, then I suggest that this whole committee be held in contempt for ignoring evidence that cannot be refuted.
This is not why we are here today.
Then why are we here today?
Surprise! Krychek is a spy. CSM will handle that. another tense episode. I like this part more because we got to the nitty-gritty. Paper Hearts, episode 10. Vince Gilligan wrote it. Rob Bowman directs it. Mulder is psychic. He dreamt of a dead child and found a dead child in the woods from the dream. It's from a case he remembers with a killer of young girls. Scully's trust in Mulder about his visions is really great to see. Of course, the child molester killer likes Alice in Wonderland. The killer uses heart cutouts to count the number of victims. That's where the title comes from. Samantha is back, which makes sense given the case. The killer wants the hearts in exchange for information about Samantha's disappearance. This killer, Roche, is creepy. There's a lot of focus on Mulder and Scully's partnership and trust in this episode. Mulder brings Roche to his old house and figures out they have a psychic connection. That's how he knows so much about the night of Samantha's abduction. So it was aliens. Mulder loses Roche because of a dream, but then keeps him from acquiring a new victim before it's too late. Headshot. Aww. Lots of tension and drama in this ep. Pusher is still my fave VG joint. Episode 11, El Mundo Gira, written by John Shiban. Tucker Gates directs it. Looks like Mulder finally learned some Spanish. Buen trabajo. Tuco. Sorry. Eladio. He's innocent this time. Scully thinks a fungus is responsible for the strange deaths, while Mulder thinks it might be El Chupacabra. Now he thinks it's aliens. Whatever it is, it's gnarly. Turns out it was aliens, an alien enzyme. This episode felt like a statement about illegal immigration, which is an issue that has only gotten worse over the decades since its airing. It doesn't stick the landing and comes off heavy-handed, in my opinion. While I appreciated the performances in this episode, the writing was clunky and it will go down as one of the worst episodes of season 4. Sorry. Next is Leonard Betts, episode 12. Vince Gilligan and John Shiban and Frank Spotnitz wrote it. Kim Manners directed it. That's a lot of writers. Let's see how this goes. He'll never get ahead in life. They're close to talking about their theories on the case again. Mulder thinks it's a headless man. Scully thinks it's a cover-up for something profit-driven. Don't lose your head, agents. Mulder is enjoying this too much. He's alive! He can regenerate body parts. Mulder was right again. Oh, look, Scully's in danger again. That never gets old. She fights back well now. She'll have to fight back extra hard against whatever she has. A good episode, solid effects, subtle performance by Paul McCrane as the titular anomaly. Mulder had fun. Scully not so much. I enjoyed this one more than the previous one. Let's see what happens in the last half of the season.